Hi, this is Jack. Welcome to the Pitbull Bible Online APBT database. Today what we're going to do is discuss the most exciting feature of our database, which is our Bulldog Statistics page. Bulldog Statistics can be found under Pedigrees. Anything that has to do with dogs, data, and information about dogs is found right here in the Pedigrees tab, so let's click that and see where we're going. When we click the Pedigrees tab, we're going to find a whole host of sub-navigation menu links having to do with adding dogs, searching for dogs, breeding dogs, etc. Relevant part to this tutorial is here, Bulldog Statistics, and it's why we rock. And let's show how we do that. I'll click here. This has been completely updated now to reflect a lot of different combinations. At first blush, it doesn't really look like much. There's just a few fields here. But as I'm going to show you as we continue, this is the most powerful production statistics generator that has ever been invented by anyone. Okay, you can break down your dogs for performance champion and grand champion, show champion, grand champion, nationals winner or purple ribbon, various obedience trials, as well as weight poll. Okay, you can search any or a combination of these things as well as wins, losses, draws, etc. You can stack it with Best in Show, Gamest in Show, Producer of Record, Register of Merit, or Dog of the Year. You can search by coat color, see which dogs are producing champion red noses, black noses, however combination you want to select, by what country, by what sex, and then this is going to be the number of dogs you're looking for and the maximum results. So what does all this mean and how do we work it? Alright, let's take a look. Now, let's say my dog, of course, Vice Grip's Poncho is my favorite dog. He's the foundation of my bloodline. So let's see how Poncho stacks up to other dogs as a producer, or whatever dog you happen to be looking for, be it your own or something else. You go to the statistics page, and let's say I want to see how many dogs have produced. I'm going to leave it unknown because we don't want to, at this point, I don't want to look for female or male champions, just any champion, be it male or female. I'm going to say, let's say 5 champions, okay? A lot of dogs have produced 1 champion, 2 champion, let's say 5 champions. Well, let's lower it a little, let's say 4 champions. Now this is going to be the maximum results. Do I want to see 10, 25, 50? Let's see 100 results. And now we're going to select Performance Champion. Okay, we've set our criteria. I don't care where they were made their championship. At this point I don't care what color their nose is, what color their coat, and we're not going to raise the bar by doing any of this. We're just going to look for 4 or more champions. So we hit the submit button. Okay, it's going to take a little bit to chug-a-lug this information, but what it's doing is it's withdrawing all the statistical data that you've entered as a consumer, and it's going to pop back some material. Okay, bam, now we've got some results. How this thing works is these are the sires, the left column and the right column. Okay, these are sires, male dogs that have produced 4 or more champions. Okay, and it's ranked in order. On this side we have females that have produced 4 or more champions. Now as we scroll down, we also search grandsires that have produced 4 or more champions, as well as grand dams. Okay, the important information this shows is who the dog is, who the breeder is, who the owner is. Okay, we can see leading the top at this point is Jeep, followed by Mayday, followed by Frisco, followed by Yellow. Okay, see Long's Weirdo up here. We see several dogs. I'm looking for my dog. Where does he stand? We're getting down to 5, 6. Okay, here's Poncho. He's produced 5 champions. There I am as the breeder. Okay, you see Indian Bolio's there too. Eddie Klaus, Indian Sonny's the breeder. Well, Patrick was, but he stole the dog. Okay, Gary Hammond's Park Son. We see another dog of mine, Warlock here. Vernon Jackson's Hank. Okay, see all these dogs, Red Boy, etc., that have produced 4 or more champions. Importantly, we start to see who the important breeders are. Hollingsworth is all the way up here at the top. Now keep in mind, Mr. Hollingsworth only made 7 breedings in his life, and he's at the top here. He's close to the top here on dams. We got Honey Bunch up at the top along with Jeep, and we've got some other dogs, Backstreet Truez's Dirty Jersey. We got Limey Kennel's Tug, Hollingsworth's Dolly again. Hollingsworth is up there. Stone City. We start seeing the important bitches. It's kind of like the ROM section. But this tells us some more important features, because we all know that there's some dogs that have produced a few champions, but as a grandsire, they're also prevalent. Now we see Poncho's way up higher as the top. In other words, the sons and daughters of Poncho are also producing, and some of the dogs that were ahead of him up here are down below him. Now, of course, Jeep and Mayday and some of these dogs and Buck are up here, and they were bred a lot. But you know, you start seeing dogs like Yellow John, how important he was. Even though he just had a few champions down here, he's way up here on top. You see other important dogs and how many champions they produced as grandsire. Tonka's up here. There's a lot of important dogs, and we get to see the breeders. Who are the important breeders? We got Clemens, again, Hollingsworth's up here, Patrick, Boudreaux, some of the all-time greats, as well as some other people that you might not expect to see. You've got Maloney down here and whatnot. But we start to see some very interesting information as to what dogs have produced what as grandsires. Okay? And same thing with grand dams. You notice something very important. The females, because they're limited in how often they can be bred, you know, once or twice a year at most, you're not going to see a lot of champions, multiple, more than 4 champions off of any females. But as grand dams, now females, because they can produce both males and females, as grand dams you start to see females equaling the males in the number of dogs that they've put out there. At the top, of course, is Honey Bunch. Now we see Red Baby. Red Baby's up here, and keep in mind a lot of the females here are down from Red Baby. Dolly again, Hollingsworth, across the board, Hollingsworth's up here on all of these things. And again, very few breedings, which is why I wrote the book I did about him, because he was a master breeder. The Tant dogs, Orr's Dolly behind Weirdo. You know, start to see some important dogs. Hollingsworth's Miss Trinks, that's Poncho's mama. Now this is all the more remarkable as Miss Trinks, again, Hollingsworth bred her. She only whelped 4 puppies in her life, and yet she's behind 8 champions as grand dam. Okay, but it's interesting. You get to see some of these dogs and how they stack up as producers. There's my Coca-Cola bitch, my Lulu bitch. I think I got another one here, Rosie maybe. Yeah, Rosie's up there. 5 champions as grand dam. She was only bred a couple times. But you know, whatever your favorite breeders are, or just to see the statistics, you start to see who's producing what in this capacity. This is champions for champions. Suppose I want to see who's produced grand champions, 4 grand champions or more. Let's hit the submit button here. Okay, we've got almost 0 dogs. We've got only 1 dog that's supposedly produced 4 grand champions, and that's Frisco. Okay, 0 bitches, and just a handful of females as grand dam and a handful of males. Okay, suppose we want to lower the bar a little bit, and we want to say 2 grand champions. Okay, and we want our results to be 100 per box. Again, this is sire and grandsire, dam and grand dam. Let's check out 2 grand champions. Okay, now we get some interesting information. We've got Mayday's produced 3, Buck is 3, Frisco's 4, Plowboy's Willie's at 2. There's another one of my dogs, I bred him, Grid Dogs Mr. Series, produced 2 grand champions and a 4-time winner. He was only bred, I think, 6 or 7 times, and yet is comparable as a producer to some of these dogs that have been bred 1,000 times. So, again, percentages are everything. Over here, who do we have? We've got Boyle's dog, Tance Miss Jocko, grand champion Miss Candy. Honey Bunch is up here with 2. And his grand dams. Bully Son's way up here. Now he's throwing 10 grand champions as a grandsire. That's amazing. Okay, we've got Little Tater here with 3. Bolio's up here at 5. My Poncho's up here at 3 grand champions as grandsire, tied with Bullboy Bob, Klaus Zeke, Red Boy, some of the all-time greats. You know, it's very interesting to check this out. Okay, there's another one of my dogs. Hornet is behind 2 as grandsire. You know, there's Lulu behind 2 grand champions. Patrick's Lady in Red with 2 grand champions. Hollingsworth's Dolly's behind 3. Again, Hollingsworth's here across the board. But now suppose we want to make some interesting combinations. And again, you can look for show champions, obedience. I'm not going to get into that. You can also go down here to 0, go down here, nothing, and just look for wins. How many dogs have produced 7-time winners, 6-time winners, 5-time winners? How many dogs have produced 3 draw? I mean, whatever combination you want to make. Okay, so let's clear this and understand where this comes from. Okay, the breeder information comes from here. Okay, the rest of the information comes from the edit details. When you first enter in dogs, whether the dog's a performance champion or grand champion, confirmation, all of these categories go into different data tables, and that is from where these draw the information. If you come in here and you don't enter in one-time winner, one-time loser, POR, ROM, you just sloppy and you just write it in and you don't enter any of this, you cannot search this information. This is why I am such a bugaboo entering the coat color, the nose color, you know, whether it's a one-time winner, one-time loser, whether it's a dog of the year, all of this information gets harvested here. You cannot generate these meaningful statistics unless when you enter your dogs, you're entering in all this applicable information. So please, when you are entering in dogs, take your time. You don't have to blow through all the dogs you enter. Make sure you enter all of this information. You don't put champion in the name or ROM after the name. This is where you add it. Okay? And it automatically gets not only put at the end of the name, but it automatically gets searchable in this information. With that said, let's look for a dog that has produced a champion that is also best in show and gamest in show. We've set our criteria. We just want one of these. We'll drop it down to 100 dogs. So let's submit and see what we get for results. Okay, very small pool. Nobody's produced more than one as a sire or dam. Now here's some, you see people are sloppy. Nobody's getting credit for this as breeder or owner because people are too lazy. You know, Killer Combine, he should be there. Nobody entered his name. There's a dog for me, Vice Grip Kennels, Jesse James Rod, Stone City should be in here. Whoever's entering these dogs is being a lazy piece of you-know-what. Okay, you see unknown, unknown. All these lazy people aren't given the breeders credit that they deserve. But let's get back to the point here. As sires, Killer Combine's Vengeance has done so. Ironically, my dog Techno, who is a brother to Vice Grip's Vengeance. So there's Vengeance and a brother to a Vengeance here. Okay, again we see Hollingsworth up here. One of my bitches has Killer Combine. Again, nobody entered him as the breeder. But when we go back, you know, this is why it's important to add the breeder information and owner information here, because it's searchable. We want to see who the good breeders are. We want to see who the good dogs are, but also who gets credit. Now, Evolution Kennels here with their Macho Buck dog produced a champion as a grandsire that won both best and gamest in show. You know, my Pancho Jr. dog did. Snake Man's Pedro. This type of varying searchable information gives all kinds of different criteria. Let's see who's produced, for example, a dog of the year. Who's produced that? Well, we have a dog that's produced 2 of those. Scarface's Big Boss is a son of my Pancho dog. He's produced a dog of the year. True Blood Sir Thomas, 1. Very few dogs that have produced him at all, and only 1 has produced 2. Even his grandsire, very few dogs of the year. Again, we see the breeders. Again, we see sloppy people not giving the breeders credit. I try my best to get in here and change things. Pancho's grandsire, 1 dog of the year. You know, Buck is 1. So, you know, Pancho's up there across the board with some of the greatest dogs that have ever been producers. And Hollingsworth across the board is up here in most of these categories. You know, 1. No bitch has done more than 1. You know, how about champions that are also ROM? It's another kind of search. Okay, we got Cherokee Chief has produced 3 champions that are also ROM. That's awesome. Catch and Rex Bamboo has done 2. That's awesome. There's one of Russian Bill's dogs. He doesn't get credit here. Hardcore Kennels now. Some of his dogs are getting up here. See, when you stack the deck differently, Hornet has produced one. You know, you stack the deck differently and you get different results. In many cases, you're going to see the same names popping up all the time. Dirty Mary has produced 3 champions that are also ROM. That's a daughter of Red Baby. Okay, there's Red Baby up there herself. Then we're going to see him as Grand Dams as well. Red Baby's on the top right there with Honey Bunch as a Grand Dam producing champions that are also ROM. Dolly is down from Red Baby. You know, many different kinds of combinations you can run. I'm not going to go through all the possible combinations, but you know, there's Rosie, there's my Rosie dog. But it's, you know, whether you want to do grand champions, you know, two or more grand champions, however you want to do your searches, you will see what dogs and what breeders are up there and who's up there consistently. Therefore, these people who argue opinions as to what dogs have produced what, we've generated the facts. This Bulldog statistics feature we have, in a nutshell, is everybody's wet dream as far as who produces what. We have opinions, we have this, we have that. These are the facts. These facts are contingent upon a couple of things. People entering all the dogs that they possibly can and being going back here and entering in all of the relevant wins, losses, draws, champion, grand champion, etc. Okay? And then so that this information is harvestable. You can get into combinations of different colored noses, different color coats, all of these things. This is the most informative statistical data draw that is possible to create, and we're the only ones that have it, which is why I'm such a stickler for you guys entering in information correctly. Okay? Again, we can pull out whatever type of information we want to pull out. This is grand champions that are also ROM. Okay? Mayday's done it as a sire and grandsire. Hollingsworth, again, you see Hollingsworth across the board here pretty much. You can spend hours on this doing different combinations. It's the most valuable tool you can have. It gives you the facts about production. Bulldog production statistics. The facts and nothing but the facts. So I hope you've enjoyed this tutorial. I know it's long-winded, but it's very important, and it's also vital to get you guys to be entering the best in shows when they win it. The Dog of the Year, Gamest in Show, POR, ROM. All of this information is harvestable and gives you, as a breeder and producer of animals, or just a connoisseur and for fun, really, to figure out who's who and what's what in the world of bulldogs and what they produce. So I appreciate you watching this tutorial, and I hope you've enjoyed it.